Shabbat Shalom, everybody. Welcome to Bet David. As always, welcome to the people who are physically present here and to those who are joining us online. And tonight we'll start, as always, with the candle lighting on page 118. The candles will be lit by Phyllis Seligman in memory of Robert Capa, and also we're going to wish her Mazel Tov on the birth of her great-grandson this week in Cape Town. So Mazel Tov, Phyllis.
Yeah. As these candles give light to all who behold them, so may we, by our lives, give light to all those who behold us. As their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so we may, in our own day, be among those who kindle light. Oh, I was going to do the other one. Thank you. You ready? Oh, look, they're not dancing, you see, because it's too long.
It's okay.
No, they're too long.
No?
I told you, you've got to cut them, you can't light my ones. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu v'mitzvotav v'tzivanu leadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Shabbat Shalom. Thank you. And before we continue on page 130, I'd like to read a poem called Yellow Again. And it's basically about how we can reclaim the color yellow, because of course yellow was the color of the ribbons that we were wearing for the hostages. Yellow again. Empty chairs will be saved for friends arriving late, and tape will be tape again, and hostage necklaces will be put away, forgotten in drawers, and Saturday night will be date night once again. Signs for the missing will be for dogs and cats, may they come home soon, and city squares will be filled with grandparents pushing strollers, and lovers dreaming of futures, walking in hand. Tears will be for mourning or joy, but not again for anguish, and monsters will go back to hiding in closets or under the bed. And when dusk settles over the land, parents will know exactly where their children are. And yellow will be yellow again, the color of fragrant etrogs and speckled autumn leaves, and crown-tipped spring daffodils, and rubber ducks, and sprinkles on cake. And, oh yes, the color of the hopeful rising sun. And we will continue on page 130. Lechunu ranala l'Adonai, Naria letzu yeshenu, nekadma fanav b'toda bizmirot naria lo, ki el gadol Adonai umelech gadol al kol Elohim, asher bayado mechkarei aretz v'toafot harim lo, asher lo hayam v'hu asahu v'yabesh et yadav yatzaru, bo'u neshtachave v'nechra'a, nivracha lifnei Adonai osenu, ki hu Eloheinu v'anachnu am marito v'tzon yado, hayom im bokolo tishma'u.
Shiul Adonai shechadash, Shiul Adonai kol haaretz, Shiul Adonai baruch shemo, basru miyom leyom yeshuato. Shiul Adonai shechadash, Shiul Adonai kol haaretz, Shiul Adonai baruch shemo, basru miyom leyom yeshuato. Shir Chadash, Shirul Adonai, Shir Chadash, Shirul Adonai, Kol Haaretz, Shirul Adonai, Baruch Hu Shemo, Basru Shirul Adonai, Shir Chadash, Shirul Adonai, Kol Haaretz, Shirul Adonai, Baruch Hu Shemo, Basru miyom liyom Yeshuato.
Jumping to page 133, I'm going to read in English at the top, and when I come to the indented section, please read along with me. The Eternal One is sovereign. Let the earth exult, the many islands rejoice. Dense clouds are around God. Righteousness and justice are the base of God's throne. O you who love God, hate evil. God, guard the lives of your loyal ones, saving them from the hand of the wicked. Light is sown for the righteous, radiance for the upright. O you righteous, rejoice in the Eternal and acclaim God's holy name. And jumping now again to page 135. Adonai malach yigzu amim, yeshev kruvim tanut haaretz, Adonai b'tzion gadol, v'ramhu al kol ha'amim, yodu shimcha gadol v'nora, kadosh hu. V'oz melech mishpat hahev, ata konanta meisharim, Mishpatot tzedakah b'Yaakov, ata asita.
Romemu Adonai Eloheinu v'ishtachavu lehar kodecho. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu v'ishtachavu lehar kodecho. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romemu. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romemu. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu v'ishtachavu lehar kodecho. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu v'ishtachavu lehar kodecho. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romemu. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romemu. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu v'ishtachavu lehar kodecho. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu v'ishtachavu lehar kodecho.
And we're going to come now to Psalm 29 on page 136. And we've just heard some thunder, and this psalm has got the sentence, the God of glory thunders, so it's most apt. Havu l'Adonai b'nei Elim, havu l'Adonai kavod va'oz, havu l'Adonai kavod shemo, hishtachavu l'Adonai b'hadrat kodesh, kol Adonai al hamayim, el hakavod hirim, Adonai al mayim rabim, kol Adonai b'koach, kol Adonai b'hadar, kol Adonai shoveh arazim v'yashaber Adonai et hazeh halvanon v'yakidem kamo egel, Levanon v'Sirion kamo ven ra'emim. The voice of the Eternal One kindles flames of fire. The voice of God convulses the wilderness. The Eternal One convulses the wilderness of Kadesh. The voice of God causes hinds to calve and strips forests bare, while in God's temple all say, "Glory." The Eternal One sat enthroned at the flood. The Eternal One sits enthroned, sovereign forever. Adonai oz le'amo yiten. May God grant strength to our people. Adonai yavarech et amo v'shalom. May God grant our people peace.
L'cha dodi, likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. L'cha dodi, likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Shamor v'zachor b'dibur echad, hishmi'anu elam echad, Adonai echad, Shemo echad, l'shem u'tiferet v'liti la 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 l'cha dodi, likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. L'cha dodi, likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Likrat Shabbat likuven elcha, ki mekor habaracha, birosh mikedem nesucha, sof machase b'machshavat ki la 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 l'cha dodi, likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. L'cha dodi, likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Mikdash melech yemelucha, kumitzei mitoch ha'hafecha, rav lach shevet ve'emek ha'bacha, v'hu yachmol aleichem la 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 l'cha dodi, likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. L'cha dodi, likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Bohi v'shalom ateret bala, gam besimcha u'betzola, toch emolei am segula. Boi chala, l'cha dodi, likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. L'cha dodi, likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. La 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 l'cha dodi, likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. L'cha dodi, likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. La la.
And now let's take a few moments and let's greet each other.
מזמור שיר ליום השבת, מזמור שיר ליום השבת, טוב להודות לאדוני ולזמר לשמך העליון, להגיד בבוקר חסדך ואמונתך בלילות, על העשור ועל הנבל, על ההיגיון בכינור, מזמור שיר ליום השבת, מזמור שיר ליום השבת, טוב להודות לאדוני ולזמר לשמך העליון, להגיד בבוקר חסדך ואמונתך בלילות, על העשור ועל הנבל, על ההיגיון בכינור, להגיד בבוקר חסדך ואמונתך בלילות, על העשור ועל הנבל, על ההיגיון בכינור,
איש בעל לא ידע, וכסיל לא יבין את זאת. The righteous bloom like a date palm, they thrive like a cedar in Lebanon. Planted in the Eternal One's house, they flourish in our God's courts. In old age, they still produce fruit. They are full of sap and freshness, attesting that God is upright, my rock, in whom there is no wrong. We've come now to the Chatzi Kaddish, page 144. Please rise and recite with me if you're able to. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, bi'olma divrach iruteh v'yamlech malchuteh, b'chayechon v'yomechon v'chayei dechol Beit Yisrael, ba'agala v'zman kariv v'imru, Amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mavarach le'olam ulomei umaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ah v'yitrumam v'yitnaseh. V'yithada v'yithale v'yithalal shmei dekudsha b'richu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tush b'chata v'nechemata, damiran bo'oma v'imru. Amen.
Elohai, barech v'yitpalel, al sod ale kamel, al noga pri bashel, al hachirut azot lirot, lachosh lirshom, ladat le'achel le'yikashel, lamed it siftotai bracha v'shir alel, behit chadesh zmancha im boker ve'im lel, levali yomi hayom kitmol shilshom, levali alai yomir hagel, baruchu et Adonai hamevorach, baruch Adonai hamevorach le'olam va'ed, baruchu et Adonai hamevorach, baruch Adonai hamevorach le'olam va'ed.
Please be seated. I'm continuing on page 149 in English at the top. Praise to you, eternal our God, from whom the evening flows. Your wisdom sets the way on which time and season glide. Your breath guides the sail of the stars. creator of the tide of time and light, you guide the current of day into night. As heaven spans to infinity, you set its course for eternity. Baruch atah Adonai hama'ariv aravim.
Avat olam, Beit Yisrael, Amcha ahavta, Torah u'mitzvot, Chukim u'mishpatim, Otanu limadeta, Avat olam, Beit Yisrael, Amcha ahavta, Torah u'mitzvot, Chukim u'mishpatim, Otanu limadeta. Alkein Adonai Eloheinu, b'shofteinu u'meinu, nasiach b'chokecha, v'nismach b'divrei Toratecha, u'b'mitzvotecha le'olam va'ed. Avat olam, Beit Yisrael, Amcha ahavta, Torah u'mitzvot, Chukim u'mishpatim, Otanu limadeta, Avat olam, Beit Yisrael, Amcha ahavta, Torah u'mitzvot, Chukim u'mishpatim, Otanu limadeta.
Everlasting love you offered your people Israel. Never remove your love from us. Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael. We've come to the Shema, page 152. Please rise and recite along with me. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kavod Malchuto, Leolam Va'ed. Page 154. V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha, b'chol lavavcha, u'v'chol nafshecha, u'v'chol ma'odecha. V'hayu hadvarim ha'ele, asher anochi mitzavcha hayom al levavecha, v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam, v'shivtecha b'veitecha, u'vlechtecha v'aderech, u'v'shofpecha uv'komecha, u'kshatam le'ot al yadecha, v'hayu letotafot beinenecha, Uchtavtam almazazot beitecha uvisharecha. Laman tiskaru, vasitem et kol mitzvotai, vitem kedoshim lelohechem, ani Adonai Elohechem, asher hotzeti etchem me eretz Mitzrayim, liyot lachem lelohim. Ani Adonai Elohechem emet. Please be seated.
Osefele Noratehi Lord Osefele Malchutecha Ra'u Vanecha Bokei Hayam Lifnei Moshe u'Miriam Zeli Anu ve'amru Adonai Yimlok le'olam va'ed le'olam va'ed Yimi chamocha bailim Adonai Mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh noratehi Lord Osefele noratehi Lord Osefele
ונאמר, כי פדה אדוני את יעקב וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו. ברוך אתה אדוני, גאל ישראל. השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום. Give us a place to rest, eternal our God. Bring us into shelter in the soft, long evening shadows of your truth. For with you are true protection and safety, and in your presence are acceptance and gentle love. Watch over us as we go forth. Prepare for us as we return. Spread over us your shelter of peace over all we love, over our Jerusalem and yours. Baruch atah Adonai, hapores sukat shalom aleinu, v'al kol amo Yisrael, v'al Yerushalayim.
Ameru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat le'toratam berit olam v'shameru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat le'toratam berit olam Beni uven b'nei Yisrael Beni uven b'nei Yisrael Oiti le'olam Oiti le'olam Ki shechet yamim Ki shechet yamim Asa Adonai et hashamayim ve'et haaretz v'shameru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat le'torotam berit olam u'bayom hashvi'i u'bayom hashvi'i Shabbat va'inafash Shabbat va'inafash v'shameru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat le'dorotam berit olam v'shameru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat le'dorotam berit olam le'dorotam berit olam
In 6 days God made heaven and earth, and on the seventh day God ceased from work and was refreshed. We've come to the Amidah, also known as the standing prayer, so please stand. We're on page 164.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei Avoteinu v'Elohei Moiteinu Elohei Abraham Elohei Yitzchak v'Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel v'Elohei זוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם למען שמו באהבה מלך חוזה ומושיע ומגן ברוך אתה אדוני מגן אברהם בעזרת
Page 168. Ata gibor leolam Adonai, machayeh hakol ata rav lehoshia. Mashiv haruach umorid geshem, mazriach hashemesh umorid hatal. Machalkel chayim b'chesed, machayeh hakol barachamim rabim. Sumech noflim v'rofech olim umatir asurim, umkayem emunato leshenei afar. Mi chamocha ba'al gevurot umi domei lach. מלך ממיתם חיי ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה להחיות הכל, ברוך אתה אדוני, מחיי הכל. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלע, ברוך אתה אדוני, האל הקדוש. You set aside the seventh day for your name, the pinnacle of creation, and you blessed it above all other days, more sacred than all festival times. So it is written in your Torah. V'yachulu hashamayim v'ha'aretz v'chol tzava'am, v'yachal Elohim bayom hashvi'i melachto asher asa, v'yishpot bayom hashvi'i mikol melachto asher asa, v'yavarech Elohim et yom hashvi'i v'yakadesh oto, ki vo shavat mikol melachto asher bara Elohim la'asot. Our God and God of our ancestors, be pleased with our rest. Sanctify us with your mitzvot, and grant us a share in your Torah. Satisfy us with your goodness, and gladden us with your salvation. Purify our hearts to serve you in truth. In your gracious love, eternal our God, grant as our heritage your holy Shabbat, that Israel, who sanctifies your name, may rest on it. Baruch atah Adonai, Makadesh HaShabbat. Page 174. Find favor, eternal our God, with your people Israel, and accept their prayer in love. May the worship of your people Israel always be acceptable. God, who is near to all who call, turn lovingly to your servants. Pour out your spirit upon us. V'techezena einenu b'shivcha leTzion barachamim. Baruch atah Adonai, המחזיר שכינתו לציון.
מודים אנחנו לך, שאתה הוא אדוני אלוהינו, ואלוהי אבותינו, ואמותינו לעולם ועד. צור חיינו מגן אישנו, אתה הוא
Page 176 in the middle. Va'al kulam yitbarach v'yitramam shimcha malkeinu tamed le'olam va'ed. V'chol achem yaducha v'halalu et shimcha be'emet. Ha'el Yeshuatenu ve'ezratenu. Baruch atah Adonai. Hatov shimcha ulcha na'eh lahudot. Praise to you, Eternal One, who blesses your people Israel with peace. Please be seated. We'll take a few moments for our own silent prayers and meditations. And has become our custom, I'm going to hand you now to Rabbi Ruggiero.
Shabbat Shalom. I got a cold, so my voice is even deeper than it is usual, and I apologize for that. I grew up in a country where money melted. For those of you who lived your entire lives in stable economies, it is difficult to explain the psychological condition of living under hyperinflation. In Brazil, when I was growing up, that was the situation. Since I was 4 years old, the annual inflation rate was above 30%. But the real trauma came later in 1993 when inflation hit a record high of 2,477% in 1 year. Let me tell you what that looks like. When you go get your paycheck on the 5th of the month, you run to the supermarket. You do not browse, you grab. You fill 2-3 trolleys with rice, beans, oil, toilet paper, anything that can store value. Because you know the maths. If you wait 2 weeks to buy your groceries, your money will be worth 15% less. Since everyone else also knows the maths, and they also received their salaries that day, the queues at the checkout are enormous. I was 25 years old the first time I saw single-digit annual inflation. And even though the economy has been relatively stable for 30 years, the scar remains. We're still a generation that is terrified of the future. We hoard because we do not trust that the value we hold today will be there tomorrow. I share this because I believe the Israelites in this week's Parshat B'shalach, were suffering from a similar trauma. They were suffering from the trauma of Egypt, and to heal them, God had to dismantle their economic worldview. A few weeks ago, I spoke to you about Yosef. I traced his transformation from the spoiled boy in the coat of many colors to the mature leader who fed the world. But we also looked at the cost of that survival. We discussed how Yosef, in his zeal to be efficient, built a system of centralized power that stripped the Egyptians of their money, their cattle, their land, and finally their freedom. If you want to understand God's vision for the Israelite society in the wilderness, we need to understand where they were coming from and the values they left behind. The economy of Egypt was built on a brilliant concept, the silo. Pharaoh's dream of 7 fat cows and 7 lean cows was a prophecy about surplus, and Yosef's solution was centralization. He took the surplus of the good years and locked it away. On the surface, this saved them. Without the silo, they would have died. But the silo also taught them a specific lesson about how the world works. Security comes from accumulation. Safety belongs to the one who holds the key to the storehouse. It was not the silo itself that turned free people into slaves. The silo saved them from starvation. But that worldview of accumulation, symbolized by the silo, eventually entrapped them. It created a society where freedom was the price you paid for bread. The mindset did not vanish the moment they walked out of Egypt. It is a mindset that still contaminates almost everything we do today. We live in a culture of the silo. We are told that to be safe, we must accumulate. And it is not just about money. We see in the accumulation of status symbols and accolades. We see it in the accumulation of followers on social media, hoarding the attention of strangers as a hedge against loneliness. We even see it in our phones, where we accumulate thousands of digital pictures that we will never look at again, simply because the act of capturing and storing them makes us feel like we possess the moment. The logic is always the same. If I store enough, I will be safe. If I have a surplus, I can control the future. This is the accumulation worldview. It might save you from starvation, but it shackles you to the fear of running out. And then God sends the manna. What is the manna? The text describes it as a fine scale-like thing on the ground, wide like coriander seeds, and tasting like wafers made with honey. The rabbis go further, suggesting it had a miraculous quality. It tasted like whatever the person desired. It was direct sustenance from God. But the miracle of the manna was not its flavor, it was its rules. God gives a terrifying instruction. Gather only what you need for today. Do not leave any of it until morning. Imagine the panic of a former enslaved person hearing this. Do not save. Do not prepare for the lean cows. What if it doesn't fall tomorrow? Some of them, driven by the deep trauma-induced anxiety, try to hoard it. And what happens? It spoiled, breeding worms and stinking. God rigged the system. God created a substance that was physically impossible to hoard. For 40 years, God forced the Israelites to undergo a daily therapy session. Every morning, they had to wake up with an empty jar. Every morning, they had to trust that there was enough. And every evening, they had to let go of their surplus. God was surgically removing the Egypt from their hearts. God was teaching them that security does not come from what you have locked away. Security comes from trust. God was retaining them to trust in enough. This lesson of the manna did not end when they entered the land of Israel. It was built into the Torah's economic vision of release and reset, Shemitah and Yovel. In Shemitah, debts are released so that poverty does not become permanent and crushing every 7 years. In Yovel, land returns to its original families every 50 years, and those who had fallen into indentured labor go free. Think about the connection. The manna says you cannot hoard food for more than 1 day. These cycles of release say you cannot turn people into permanent debtors, and you cannot hoard land as if it were yours forever. If you were a brilliant businessman in ancient Israel, or a brilliant businesswoman, you could buy up your neighbor's farm. You could expand your estates. You could build a silo of real estate wealth. But the Torah says it is not ultimate. The clock is ticking. When the shofar of Yovel sounds, the land goes back. Why? The Torah tells us explicitly, the land shall not be sold in perpetuity, for the land is mine, mine meaning God's. For you were strangers and sojourners with me. Both the manna and Yovel are designed to prevent the return of the Egyptian worldview. They're designed to prevent a society where a few people hold all the keys, whilst everyone else sells their dignity for bread. They remind us that ownership is never absolute. We're not the final owners. We are the tenants and the stewards. We no longer eat manna. We no longer practice Yovel in its literal form. Perhaps that is why it can still feel as though we live in Egypt. We live in a world of staggering inequality, where the logic of the silo has gone mad. We see a global economy where a tiny few hold keys to storehouses so vast they could feed nations, whilst millions wait for crumbs. And the tragedy is not only the inequality itself, it is the story we tell about it. Think about the names that dominate our imagination, the people our culture spotlights, the figures we are trained to treat as the measure of success. They are, almost without exception, those associated with accumulation of a massive scale. We are tempted to confuse visibility with virtue and wealth with worth. There is even a perspective that creeps into our thinking, one that whispers that the super wealthy are specially blessed by God, that their vast accumulation is a sign of divine favor. But the Jewish approach, anchored among others in this week's text, rejects that idea. In the story of the manna, the person who gathered more than they needed was not called blessed. They were called greedy. Their surplus was not a badge of honor. It turned to rot. God's favor was not found in hoarding. It was found in the trust that there is enough, in the discipline that leaves enough for others. We almost never know the names of the people who chose this different path. We do not know the names of the people who looked at the silo and said, I don't need all of this. We do not know the names of those who wanted simply a decent living and who made their goal in life to help others savor the taste of manna, the taste of dignity, of being cared for, of having exactly what you need. I'm talking about the teacher who spends their own salary to buy breakfast for hungry students so they can focus. I'm talking about the nurse who holds the hand of a dying stranger because their family cannot be there. I'm talking about the activists and the volunteers who spend their lives ensuring that the people who are most easily forgotten are not forgotten. These people are not building monuments to themselves. They're not accumulating surplus. They're doing the holy work of distribution. In our tradition, we do not call this charity. Charity implies a favor, a nice gesture from the wealthy to the poor. We call it tzedakah. It is not an optional kindness. It's an obligation rooted in justice. When we share our surplus, we're not being benevolent. We're doing justice. We're restoring the balance that the silo interrupts. We're ensuring that the resource of God's world actually reaches all of God's creatures. The accumulation worldview tell us that the winner is the one who dies with the most. The manna worldview tells us that the winner is the one who ensures that nobody dies with nothing. The Israelites had to learn the hardest lesson of freedom. You can walk out of Egypt in one night, but it takes 40 years to get the scarcity out of your soul. Brazilians know something about defining our practices based on fear. My generation still hoards because we remember when money melted. But trauma does not excuse us from justice. The Israelites learned this in the wilderness. When a few hold all the keys to the storehouse, everyone else sells their dignity for bread. The manna made inequality impossible. Yovel set limits to accumulation. Tzedakah demands economic justice. There is enough if we share it. There are resources if we distribute them. The systems we build determine who eats and who goes hungry. The manna is falling. Our task is to ensure it reaches everyone. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. And it's the end of the month, so we have birthday blessings, but has anybody here had a birthday in January? One? So if you'll come up. Okay, if you'll stand. May the road rise to meet you. May the wind be always at your back. May the sun shine warm on your face. The rains fall soft upon your fields. And may God hold you safe. May God be with you and bless you. May you see your children's children. May you be poor in bad luck, but rich in blessings. May you know nothing but happiness from this day forward.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. Yom Huledet Sameach. Yom Huledet Sameach. Yom Huledet Sameach. Ad me'at
Happy birthday. We come now to the Aleinu, so you need to come back up. I've got Ian and his daughter will be doing ark opening. Ian, ark opening and closing. I haven't got it.
Latet את שמו, לייחד את שמו, וגורלנו להמליך מלכותו, להמליך מלכותו. ושמו אחד, ושמו אחד, ושמו אחד.
Please remain standing. I'm going to just quickly do the prayer for healing on page 371. May the one who blessed our ancestors, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah, bless and heal those who are ill. And this week we have on our list David Kruger, Alan Jewson, Ingrid Pollack, Dawn Miller, Clive Hall, Ruth Jordan, Dario Guerrero, Michelle Fryer, and Lou Ann Tunison. May the Blessed Holy One be filled with compassion for their health to be restored and their strength to be revived. May God swiftly send them a complete renewal of body and spirit, and let us all say, Amen. Please turn to page 595, reading number 7. There are stars up above so far away, we only see their light long, long after the star itself is gone. And so it is with people that we loved. Their memories keep shining ever brightly, though their time with us is done. But the stars that light up the darkest night, these are the lights that guide us. As we live our days, these are the ways we remember. And we think of our loved ones whom death has recently taken from us, those who died at the season and years past, and those whom we've drawn into our hearts with our own. And this week, those who've passed away recently: Kerry Castle, wife of Brian and mother of Daniel, Jenna, and Kate. Kerry passed away on Monday at the age of 52 after bravely battling cancer. Rabbi Robert Ash, former rabbi of Bet Emanuel. Dina Costa, aunt of Rabbi Chava Costa. Ilana Janet, dear friend of Adrian Yates. Eva Schloss, Holocaust survivor and stepsister of Anne Frank. Marcia Brooks, wife of Stephen Brooks and sister of Edmund, Jackie, and Norman Baruch. And from Bet David we remember Lorna Rudolph, grandmother of Morris Kotzen, Robert Kappa, partner of Phyllis Seligman, and James O'Neill, father of Jamie Levine. If anybody has a name they'd like to call out, please do so now. We'll start at this side. We also remember all those who have lost their lives in wars and those who've no one to remember them. Please join me in the Kaddish, 598, the Mourner's Kaddish. Yit Gadal v'yit Kadash Shemei Rabbah, Be'olma divrach rute v'yamlich malchute, B'chayechon v'yomechon v'chayei dechol Beit Yisrael, Ba'agala v'izman kariv v'imru. Amen. Yehei Shmei Rabbah Mavorach le'olam olomei umaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'a v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yithada v'yithale v'yithalal Shmei Dekudsha Berechu. Le'ela min kol bechata v'shirata. Tush bechata v'nechemata. Da'miran bo'uma v'imru. Amen. Yehei Shlama Rabbah min Shmaya. V'chayim alenu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav. Hu yaseh shalom. Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, v'kol yoshvei tevel, v'imru. Amen. Please be seated. Just a few quick announcements. Cheder classes start again tomorrow. They are tomorrow, 8:45. The mikveh is open for bookings. Contact the office if you'd like to make a booking. We've had a very positive response to the invitation to join the Bet David Community Choir. And if you haven't joined and are interested, please contact the synagogue office for more details. And also for more details, look in the Adkan. There's all sorts of notices and interesting things to read. We conclude the service tonight with the singing of Shalom Aleichem, page 627. And before they sing, thank you to my choir, my musicians, and the technical desk.
Shalom Aleichem, Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasheret, Malachei Elyon, Melech, Malachei Hamlakim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom Aleichem, Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasheret, Malachei Elyon, Melech, Malachei Hamlakim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem l'shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malchei Hamlakim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom Aleichem, Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasheret, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malchei Hamlakim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. B'choni l'shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malchei Hamlakim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Tzedchem l'shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malchei Hamlakim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom Aleichem, Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasheret, Malachei